Morning, everybody. Welcome to the lending report for August 2nd, 2024. Thanks for joining me. Let's get right into it, starting with jobs. Jobless claims showing initial up 14,000 for the past week, continuing up 33,000, and that's a 2-week look back. But to note those numbers being up, which is important because the following week we did have decreases, but that was during a shorter week with the holiday week. Now, mortgage applications did show some slowing. Purchases down 1.5%, but refinances down 7%. However, be cognizant of the fact that inventory is up. Interest rates look to be doing a little better right now. We are trending down, so that is good. So activity could increase there if you're in the market to purchase. Appreciation by Case-Shiller did come out as well for the month of May, showing it was up 0.3%. So again, still seeing good gains with home values. Pending sales for the month of June, pending home sales up 4.8%. So more activity there, and that could be in part because of improving rates and because of the increased inventory that we are seeing. Now, the biggest news this week was jobs. Of course, we got JOLTS, ADP, and BLS. So let's get right into it and show you some slides. Starting with JOLTS. JOLTS did show that job creations were down from 8.23 million to 8.18 million. This chart here showing you the decrease that we've been seeing progressively throughout the year, and just a long look back on this report as a whole. Now, ADP also showing this week, showing that the job creations came in at 122,000, which is just a bit lower than the estimates of 150,000. So this is good for us here. And you can see within this report where the job creations and losses were, predominantly mostly from trade, transportation, and utilities, and construction up 39,000 as well. But losing some ground in leisure and hospitality, which has been a major driver for us for the past 2 years. One thing you'll also want to see is that wages were down for both stayers and switchers. And we see that trend continuing in other reports as well. Now, BLS came out today, and BLS was a miss, showing that we hit 114,000 job creations versus 175,000 as the estimate. This is important because BLS has been a head scratcher for several months, really the past year. Don't know where these numbers are coming from. And if you look at the revisions, you can even say the 2-month revisions now for May, that's final seven. We started at 272,000 supposed job creations down to 216,000 revised down. June was revised down as well. It was at 206 down to 179. So very important to note there. And really the nemesis to this report has been our the birth-death ratio number, showing so many more creations than there actually are. And we'll probably see this number revised down as well in the coming months. Also, remember within the BLS report is the household survey, and this is where we get our unemployment numbers. This did show job creations only at 67,000, but the labor force now at 420,000. And what this means for us is that unemployment has now gone from 4.1% to 4.3%. Pretty important. And then if you break this report down even further into hourly and weekly earnings, you can see that people are trending lower in income. Average hourly earnings were up 0.2%. However, weekly earnings were down 0.1%. And if you look at the average hours worked, the number of hours worked fell as well. So if you're not working as much, you're not going to make as much. So just something to note within there. And also within this report, which is really important, which nobody was paying attention to, because when we talk about job creations, people just think, oh, everybody's getting full-time work. It's not. There are 346,000 creations just alone from people working part-time for economic reasons. So this means they're picking up a second or maybe even a third job. And most could only find part-time work, just so you know. There's not a lot of part-time, full-time work to be had out there. So this is just something to point out that's not being brought up in these in the information that we're receiving. Now, the SOM rule is pretty close to being triggered here. And what the SOM rule is that when the average unemployment changes by 0.5% over a 12-month period, it's an indication that we're in a recession. Right now, the 12-month look back, we're at 4.13%, which is 0.43% higher than where we were 12 months ago. if we do have another higher number here in the next month, which is expected, we continue to see this unemployment go up, we're probably going to hit that 0.5% increase, which will trigger that sum rule. And that's important to note because we all thought that the driver of the recession would be inflation, but really the driver, it's going to come down probably to unemployment. And the Fed did meet. We did get their discussions after their meetings. We are seeing a much more positive inclination towards the potential that we'll see a rate cut for short-term interest rates in September. They're holding fast in July, but we'll probably see an improvement by at least 0.25% in September for short-term interest rates. So that's going to help your equity payments, car loans, and credit card payments. Let's take a look at the charts because this has been great. This has been such a great week for us that I do expect activity and applications to increase. This has been a positive move in interest rates. You can get under a 7% now. So if you are considering now, really, I would have to encourage you to move forward if you are contemplating either a purchase or a refinance at this point. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. I do appreciate when you like my videos. I hope you have a great weekend. Stay out of the heat. It's really hot out there. And I'll see you next week.